So it's kind of hard to write a long speech on a card. Got it? Sound like a plan? Okay, folks, here we go. Networker's Guide. It's not 10 Commandments, it's a guide. You're big people. We're all big people. We can use this stuff effectively. I'm going to make a few big points. So if you're going to make a few big points, what do you need?
Big pointer.
A big pointer. Some of you have seen this before, so play Okay, if we are on YouTube, etc., the little blinking red dot is kind of hard to find. So this is part fun, but it's part functional, yes? Yeah. Batteries don't go dead either. I don't know. Okay, ethical. That means there's some framework behind it. It's a rule for determining right and wrong. Now, without getting into the meat of it all, there's a couple different ethical frameworks. Deontological and teleological. To make them short, rule-based or consequence-based. Well, I just did what I was told. It wasn't my fault. That's kind of rule-based, right? And the other one's consequence-based. Hey, it's okay to lie if your objective is to save the children. Now, these two opposing perspectives come into conflict in our work situation, and you may encounter it in your interviews. Half of the people in the world think it's okay to lie if their objective is honorable in their own mind. If we're dealing with that, we've got our hands full, right? So what I'm going to encourage you to do is hold yourself to both standards, not one or the other. Hold ourselves to the standard of I'm going to tell the truth and I'm going to accept responsibility for the consequences. Ooh, there's a noble thought. Got it? That's the framework that I bring with me into this discussion, and I hope you share it. Next. Networking is much more about listening than about talking. So, everybody ready to practice? We all go to interview. We're going to listen to some questions they're going to ask, and they usually come in kind of rapid fire. They move quickly enough because they have a list of questions. In a structured interview, they know what they're going to ask next. We don't know what they're going to ask unless you're like Dennis and you have a guy who can find out. That happens sometimes if we have a lot of good friends in the network. So everybody paying attention, ready to practice here? These are going to come rather quick, so just be alert. Okay, listening. Quick warm-up questions. What color is this screen?
White.
Okay, what do adult cows drink?
Water.
Oh, some water, yeah. Okay. Well, you get the point. And then why did so many of us say milk? That's the third question in case somebody would want to ask. I thought you said 3 questions. So why would we be tempted to say milk? Because we're already conditioned to expect certain things. So it helps us to practice suspending that and staying in the moment and saying, what is the person really saying? That nourishes a relationship. Those of us that have been married almost 40 years now to the same woman, my dear wife is with me today. So about every 10 years or so we go to like a 60,000-mile tune-up, if you know what I mean. It's one of those things where, okay, we spend two full days with a group of people trying to figure out how to reconnect so that our dialogue is like it was when we were recording 40-some years ago. Because then we were really concerned about what did the person really mean when they said something. The dialogue was in the present. It was relationship building kind of dialogue. It's a courtship. And if the interview is thought of like a courtship, you'll ask better questions because you're interested in building a relationship. You'll influence your outcome. You'll influence your interviewer if the focus is to build a relationship with the interviewer. You wouldn't be on the interview if you didn't have the skills. Right? They didn't invite you to audition for about playing violin if you were a drummer. Next. A little video to get us started. Everybody ready? Some of you have seen this before. It's 30 months ago it went viral. If you haven't seen it yet, ask yourself, where have you been? 6 minutes long. Oh yeah? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That explains that one. Sorry, there's a backup. Backup has its problems. In this case, we will skip it. I apologize. Do a Google, make a note on your little whiteboard. Ready? Look at did you know. Do a Google on that. Do yourself a favor and look at the video. It went viral in May of 2007. I first saw it in April, May 2007 in Fort Collins, Colorado. It was written by a school board member in Fort Collins. And I first got introduced to it by the Positive Deviant Network that I referred to earlier. These were folks who recognized that the world is changing quickly, very rapidly. Essentially, we are all suffering from information overload. We're all internet enabled, right? email-driven, and sleep-deprived. Anybody not fit that profile? Okay, well, the antidote for all that is to find a way to manage our information. And how we manage that information overload, minute by minute, suggests how we're likely to handle it on the job. So when you go to an interview or an audition, imagine how much information they're trying to collect about us. So we can focus, they're overloaded with information as well, so we can focus their attention on the things we want them to focus on. And I'd like you to keep in mind that the reason they interview us, because they live by this principle, how we do anything suggests how we're likely to do everything. Wouldn't that be a purpose for an interview? How they treat each other, how they treat people they meet in the lobby, how they respond to questions, are they comfortable? Can they handle uncertainty, a hiccup, etc.? How they handle the interview suggests how they're likely to handle the job. Is it starting to seem more like a rehearsal or an audition for music instead? Next. A little test time. Pardon me for being too abrupt here with the popping my peas right in the train for that. I should not do that. Everybody ready? A little more visual here. Just the Catholic coming out of me, right? Executive meeting. No, don't get shook. It's not. It's just an object that everyone can see. I release this object. Will it go in or out? There's a real answer. Come on, we got a bunch of engineers in the room, physicists, anybody? This is an expensive meeting. Come on, the seconds are counting. You add up all the money, even at free, even at minimum wage or unemployment, this is an expensive meeting. In or out?
Out.
Out, in, out. On the hand, I'll ask you to justify your answer. Others, shut them out.
Depends on your point of view.
Depends on the point of view. Well, yes, of course, I need an answer. In or out? The client is wanting an answer now, and they're on the phone. And if we don't give them an answer, okay, would you like a hint? Who would like a hint? Okay, here's a hint. There, let me see here if I get this clicking. Yes, there's a hint. Oh no, it's another visual. There's your hint. Is that helpful? Who would like another hint? Anybody want more of a hint? Sure. Okay, that's the last hint you're going to get. In or out? In. In. Yes, very good. Why?
Because of the weight.
Well, because, shall we say, the earth is either flat or round? How many of us are still being taught in school the earth is flat? When we release an object, it falls down at an accelerating rate of 32 feet per second squared. It goes in towards the center of the earth, yes? So if I were to ask you to stand out, you would know what to do, yes? Get the point? How does our thinking change when we ask a different question? When I release this object, will it go in or out? It shows a different paradigm. It depends on our perspective, yes? The next time we're at an interview, realize that the questions we ask have more to do about the opinion they have of us than the answers we give.